Good afternoon, guys, and welcome back. And happy Friday, man. It's already Friday, and it's a beautiful day outside. There isn't a cloud in the sky. It's just so wonderful. And at the end of this video, I'll show you guys like a tour of the scenery and the wonderfulness outside. But you guys, I have this topic that I want to talk to you guys about. An observation, a couple of observations that I've made, and comparing my former supervisor, actually supervisors, who were two white men, compared to my current supervisors, who are two African American women. Interesting distinction. Interesting. Now, of course, I know y'all like, why she gotta always talk about race? Why you gotta bring race in it? And who knows? The difference could be attributed to gender. But I would like to believe it's attributed to race, because it's the most obvious distinction. And I got an email from my current supervisor, or at least one of them anyway, the main training director, who sent an email, and she was like, hey, you. See, that's the reason why I think it's race, because there's just certain things are just that stick out, right? And I'm gonna get into that in this video about certain things that she said in communication that points to race, not gender. And so she's like, hey, you. And she was inviting me, basically saying, yeah, there's an event, for black students, and, I was wanting to see if you guys are interested. And at first, I don't even think I really paid attention to the message. I'm just like, she's like, hey, you. Like, this is how we communicate now? Hey, you. When you know a person's name. I'm like, I wonder if she said that to the other interns, hey, you. But I'm being referred to as hey, you. Now, I know y'all feel like that's some petty shit. No, I pay attention to details. That's just me. A person can't say that I'm not detail-oriented, or that I'm dismissive of certain, intricacies and details. If anything, I pay very much attention to detail. Sometimes a little bit too much attention to detail. I'm very conscientious. And I'm just like, okay, this is the footing that we're going to be on. Hey, you. But anyway, so that's that. But yeah, I want to talk about just my differences, the differences I observed between my former supervisor and my current supervisor. My former supervisor, like I said, I used to work out in the Valley with a beautiful group of adults with intellectual disabilities. So they were adults ranging from as young as like early 20s, old as, come on, for real, to as old as like through their 60s, right? So they crossed the lifespan, the ages range across the lifespan, and they had diagnoses that, was across the DSM, clinical disorders that they had, including depression, schizophrenia, anxiety was one of the biggest ones. A lot of them had developmental disorders, autism was a big issue. Oh my gosh, maybe I should have just went inside. Okay, let's see, can I get through this video without too many outside distractions? Autism, what else? Oh my gosh, there's a number of disorders that they had, right? Many were pretty severe, to the point where they had to have one-to-one. So some were actually actively harmful and had suicidal ideations, where they actually were doing harmful acts to themselves, right? To the point where sometimes it would result in blood and, really some severe things. And it's interesting that I'm saying this because it's like my current supervisor now is kind of dismissive to that experience that I had, as if it was like, oh, those are just adults with intellectual disabilities. Like, they're a lower functioning, as if my experience working with them doesn't really count. And she's trying to judge I guess, my ability to be able to do certain things currently at the site where I work at based on that. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Yes, it's two totally different populations, but if anything, the population I worked with formerly was actually much more difficult, I would say, much more challenging, much more with severe diagnoses, you know, and like meaning I had to take a little bit more care in working with that population. Like we always had to pretty much have eyes on them, and to be very observant. And it was around the clock, so I would work like 6 hours a day, sometimes 7-8 hours a day, and it was pretty involved, you know. Whereas now, yes, I see about, let's say, about 2 to 3 clients each day, but they are higher functioning clients, and it's not like I have to keep, I mean, yes, I'm observant, but it's not like a continuous keep an eye on them and observing and doing treatment planning. And I'm still doing treatment planning, but it's just much different, right? But in her eyes, she's making it seem as though my work like didn't count, you know, like, oh, those were lower functioning. And I think people have this idea of what lower functioning looks like, you know, so just like they're just, I don't know what it looks like to her. I don't know. Maybe I should have asked her, but generally speaking, people do have a certain perception of what adults with intellectual disabilities look like. You know, like they can't do nothing for themselves, or they treat them like little kids, and you know, that part. But it's a lot. They're pretty complex. You know, they're just as complex as people who are higher functioning, right? So I think that was a big misconception that she formed based on, I don't know what type of knowledge she based that on, like, because she's a doctor, right? And you would think, okay, she would be a lot more educated to know that, okay, just because a person is lower functioning doesn't mean that the work is easier. So a lot of times it's just as challenging as working with higher functioning. Because I guess she's assuming that, okay, a person's higher functioning, then they have a higher mental capacity, and it's going to be a lot more challenging for you to work within that, you know? Like, I don't think so. I feel like actually it's a little bit easier, you know? Because you think about the minds of the clients that I had before, and to be able to work within that and do groups and keep their attention throughout the whole group, that was a huge task. That was pretty challenging. So she's essentially just undermining my experience, right? And then even prior to that, like I've said to you guys, I don't call myself no expert or nothing like that, or like saying I'm just so competent. I don't say that. You guys know I don't say that. But I do talk about my previous experiences in mental health, which I've had several different experiences in New York, working in substance abuse, clients who were court ordered to be there. So we talk about involuntary clients who don't want to be there. I had the opportunity to be able to work with that, to see what that looks like in the room. It's a difference when you have a client who wants to be in therapy and a client who just don't want to be there. And the clients I work with, and that was Queens, New York, they didn't want to be there. So it does take a little bit more effort on behalf of the therapist, but she kind of like dismissed that, because I told her, I said, well, that's not the only experience that I had. I mean, yes, that was my only experience within my PhD program, but outside of that, I have other experiences. She just kind of dismissed me like, because this is all based on our conversation for her to give me more clients, and specifically to give me couples clients, right? And so she's just like, like that. She just totally, she didn't even respond to that, like as if that didn't matter. And I'm just like, okay. Now, granted, I have never worked with couples, but still, the only way that I could learn is to put me in there, right? And so, going back to my last practicum in the Valley, it was a full year, and considering, I'm going to talk to you guys about this in a minute, but considering my experience with supervision, where I'm at currently now with 2 African American supervisors compared to what it was before when I had 2 white male supervisors, completely different. And I know y'all probably like, no duh, because you're talking about black people versus white people, but y'all, I have to really qualify this. Completely different. Hear me when I say this. I'm going to tell you very specifics too on how it's different. So when I was working in the Valley, And I told you guys when I was ending my practicum in the Valley how I broke down in tears, because it's just like the clients were so appreciative of me, and they just expressed, like, it's almost like they were losing something very special, some I think even shared tears with me. Like, they were just like, oh my gosh, you're leaving. And the whole termination, it was just a bittersweet moment, right? Because when I'm involved with something, I'm involved. I dedicate myself. I commit myself. So a person can't say, oh, she's not interested or she's not committed. No. Sometimes I'm a little bit too committed, right? And I was very committed. The clients could see that. And when I say I broke down, because my supervisor basically had the clients make me these beautiful, like, going away cards, right? Which he didn't have to do that, but he had them do that for me. And I was just like, it just warmed my heart, And then y'all go back and watch the video where I forget the title that I made. I think I made it leaving my first practicum site or something like that. You guys have to just go back. But yeah, and it was a sweet moment. And he, had his gift that he gave to me, and the biggest gift that he gave to me was his words, which really resonated with me. I mean, I can't even reiterate the amount of influence and power that his words had on me. And they weren't words of criticism. Because I think this is the biggest mistake that a lot of supervisors make, especially people like in authority, and like, I got my doctorate and I want to tell you what you need to do and how you need to do it. And okay, yes, you have the authority to do that, but understand, I just want to communicate this, that you can reach a person and still be able to arrive at the same result in terms of you want to correct their behavior or change something about the way they do things. You can still do that in many different approaches, and he had a totally different approach in supervising me, which I appreciate even more. I appreciated it back then because I told him how much I thank him for the opportunity. Face to face, in tears, I thanked him, and through email, I thanked him. Even after I finished my last day there, I sent him an email, wrote him an email. It's like, I'm so appreciative, because people don't think that you can effect change through positivity. And he took a positive approach in supervising me, whereas where I'm at now, it's just completely negative criticism after criticism after criticism after. I swear I can't even think of one compliment that they've given me, to be honest. And if they did, I don't remember it, because that's how many criticisms I've gotten, and of course, like the research says, that human beings, we have this negativity bias, and so we tend to focus on the negative. But no, I focus on the positive. I appreciate the positive, and I remember the positive. I think that's also a misconception, to say that people just don't learn from positive supervision experiences. That's fact. That's false. That is not facts, because you guys can see how his words impacted me. Those were real tears that I shed. And I think I even shared it in the video that I made when I was talking about it. And I'm going to go ahead and repeat what he said. But basically, my last day, and this is our last supervision meeting. Oh my gosh. I'm not going to cry. But he was just saying how he appreciate, the work that I've done there. I've come a long way. That he recognizes there's a need for African American female therapists. He was just telling me how great of a therapist, how great of a psychologist that I'm going to become. Like, hearing this come from a white man, especially, in our society, we can't ignore the realness of, or the reality of what it is in our society, right? It's like, it's unusual to hear something like that come from, a white supervisor. Because typically you're like, oh, what they gonna say? They gonna say something bad. No, he was completely positive. Now, of course, he had, not that he gave me all fives on my evaluation. Of course, he had some areas of improvement, but it was more it's so constructive, And no, I'm not exaggerating. If something is bad, I'm gonna let you know it's bad, whether it's coming from a black person or a white person, I would let you know. Y'all know that. But it was positive, man, and that's why I remember it, and that's why I think it has such a great impact on me. A positive impact. And that's something, that's an experience that I will write about in my book, that for my success as a therapist, as a psychologist, I will give him credit. I will acknowledge him as one of the people in my life who has a positive influence on me, who is partly responsible for my success, because those words go a long way. For him to say that to me, that he said, I want you to become a successful therapist. And I guess I can sense that sincerity of him saying that. I want you to be great. He wasn't just saying it just to say it because it sounds good. I can sense that it was coming from a true, authentic place. Now, a little bit about my former supervisor, the guy I'm talking to you guys about. He actually led a psychiatric hospital. He was the head of the hospital. Can't tell you guys where. But he was the head of a hospital, and he's affiliated with UCLA. That's all I can say. I can't say too much details. So considering that we have a man who's very prominent in the field, in our field, has over 20 years of experience as a psychologist in the field and in private practice and doing what he does, and has very much a lot of experience in a supervisory role as a director of a hospital. To hear that come from him, I'm just like, wow. And it's like no wonder why I could not stop crying in my supervision. Because I guess I didn't expect it. I expected him to be super critical. Because I'm like, I'm ready for whatever. That's me. I'm prepared for whatever. That's why I can take all kind of shit that come at me. Because I prepare my mind for whatever. But I don't think I was quite ready for that. And so that's the reason why, oh my gosh, the floodgates just came down, man. And that was one of two of my supervisors. And the other one, he was also very positive. He had more of kind of a laid-back approach, too. Now, the one I just talked to you guys about, he was a lot more structured, you know. I think he kind of OCD, which was a good thing, too. But at the same time, like, and that wasn't the first time he gave positive remarks. Throughout my training, his favorite thing, and my colleague can attest to this, who I co-led groups with at that first prac site, was he would always say, good job, guys, good job, you're doing a great job. Not just to the clients. Of course he said to the clients, but he would say that to us as interns. And I think at times, like sometimes you don't really value something until you don't have it no more. Try not to cry. But he would say that, you know, and like, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. I said I wasn't gonna cry. Okay, then you don't cry. Whew. How y'all doing, by the way? I don't want to get too emotional in this video, but it is a heartfelt story. It is a heartfelt story. But like I was saying, sometimes you really don't. Not that I didn't appreciate it, of course, but maybe you don't recognize the value in certain things until you don't have it no more. And especially when you're dished with the criticism that I'm getting now. Not that I can't take criticism. I'm going to talk to you guys more about this kind of criticism that's happening. But it's just like, wow. Wow. That's what it's like. And then he even sent an email. When I sent my email to him after my last day, he replied back and he was like, yeah, you're always welcome here, you know. You don't have to be a stranger. You're always welcome back. Anytime you're in the neighborhood, you can drop in. I'm just like, damn. You know, this is like, oh my gosh, the best supervisor ever. Now, fast forward to the present day. I don't even know where to begin. All I can say is that these past several months since I've been working where I've been working have been quite interesting, to say the least, in terms of the type of supervision that I've been getting. And I know initially you guys probably think, oh, well, you know, criticism is good, right? You have to be able to take criticism. Of course I can take criticism, y'all. That ain't what this is about. It's about the type of learning experience and the environment in which I'm working. Now, structurally, the environment is safe, right? It's good, it's clean, you know, it's, you walk in there, you may feel like you walk into a high-end office. So that's not what I'm talking about in terms of environment. I'm just talking about the toxicity of the environment in terms of the interactions that I've been experiencing with my supervisors and just the way, their delivery of criticism. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with criticism, but when that's all that you give to a person, that's all you give to a supervisor, and don't just watch this, you guys. A lot of times I give you guys this and y'all watch, but y'all don't comment, you don't share, you don't give feedback. Feel free to thumbs up. Feel free to share this video. You've been watching for several minutes now, so feel free to interact. It's okay. You don't have to be sit as a fly on the wall. But it's how you give feedback, right? It's how you give the criticism. And like I said, if criticism is all you give, it don't matter the context of where you at or the dynamic of the relationship, a person is going to eventually see you in a certain light. They're going to see you a certain way. Like, okay, here's this person who's always got something negative to say, because that's all that you have to deliver is just negative things about what a person is doing wrong or what you don't like, right? And I'm going to go into the details of these these criticisms, and y'all might laugh actually at some of them. But yeah, it creates this type of learning that is not conducive to one's professional development. Now, being that I'm I'm a strong, resilient person, so I'm the kind of person, it don't matter what's thrown at me in life, I'm going to take the worst of life and make it into something great. But that's my doing, right? Some people gotta say, oh, well, that's going to make you stronger. You know, criticism, that's good for you. I don't know if it's criticism that's good, especially in the way that they're delivering it and what's happening at my site, or if it's the person who is able to take that criticism and turn it into something positive. What's up? Well, yeah, what's up? You say you're coming down to see me. From where? And it's just a delivery. I think a lot of it, it's gaslighting. I don't know if you guys are familiar with gaslighting, but it's just basically where people try to make other people feel like they're crazy, like something is seriously wrong, when you know good and well, like I know good and well, I put the trash outside the door, and I make an effort to do that. But that's one of the policies that they have, like, okay, you have to take the trash out and put the trash outside the door so that the maid can come by and get it. You said New York, gotta get out this cold. I'm coming to New York for the cold next month, so maybe, I don't know, maybe we can link up. But it's one of the policies, and I'm like, I know I put the trash out, right? And so, come to find out, I come to work, the first thing I step in to the office, the secretary is like, you know, you left trash in the office, you need to take the trash out. And I'm like, I don't leave trash in the office, and I make sure. I'm a clean person myself, you know, so that policy is very easy to keep, you know, and to maintain or to adhere to. And she was like, no, they say you left the trash in the trash over the weekend. So I go to my office, and of course the first thing I do before I even put my stuff down is look in the trash to see, what is she talking about? What is this trash? I look in the trash and kind of find out it's not even my trash. Because I give people the benefit of the doubt. I say, okay, well, maybe she's right, you know. I ain't just dismiss it off front and be like, you know, that ain't mine. I say, okay, well, let me go see. I looked in there, Not my trash, y'all. Not my trash. I look at the bag of chips. I'm like, I don't even eat those chips. I know for sure that it's not my trash. You ain't gonna make me think that I'm crazy, right? Which I think that's what they're trying to do. When they ass is fucked up. And so, like I said, I look in the trash and then it's not mine. So I go back out there and I describe what the trash looks like and everything. I say, that's not my trash. And then later that same day, I see the lady who I share an office with, and I talked to her about it, and she actually confessed, say, oh, that's my trash. Okay, that's your trash. But then when she owned to it to say it was her trash, she tried to dismiss it like it's not nothing, right? Like it's, oh, big deal. The bag is empty, you know. But you just went and told the secretary that I left trash. Now, for some people watching this, y'all may think, oh, that's just a small stuff, right? It's not small when you have your supervisor who is calling you out on it and trying to report you to your training director at your school. This is a big thing. You understand what I'm saying? This paints their perception of you. This paints everything going forward in terms of clinical placements, and all of that is impacted by that, right? Not to mention, you know, how it's impacting me. So this is not a small issue, right? Because obviously it's something that's keep coming up. And it went from the trash, oh, that's my trash, I'm leaving trash there, when they found out that it's not my trash, and she owned up to it. I'm like, why would somebody do that? Like, is this a test or something to see how I'm going to react? When I didn't overreact, I don't never do that. I always take it calm and cool and collect, because I know people, when you try to use your overreaction, so to speak, or your emotional reaction against you. So I make sure that I maintain an even keel. So it went from that to my Kleenex tissue. I ended up bringing some Kleenex tissue to work and for my clients, right? And then the lady I shared the office with, this same lady found a tissue and she was like, oh, that's your tissue in the office? I'm like, yes. She was like, oh, well, you can take it home because we have enough tissue here. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, I have tissue here. I didn't see it, so I just brought my own, right? But that was new information to me. So I'm like, okay, big deal, right? And that day, I hadn't forgot about the tissue. Like, I mean, to me, I think that's minor. To me, that's minor, right? And my mind is on my clients. My mind is not on, okay, I need to make sure before I leave to take this tissue home, right? My mind is on a whole number of things. Dissertation, my clients, you know. But apparently, I'm like, they mind ain't occupied with shit, because they sitting here focused on some tissue. And so I forgot about tissue that day. I came in another day and I see the same therapist who I shared the office with. She was like, oh yeah, she reminded me again, oh, the tissue, you know, you can take the tissue home. I'm like, okay, I'll make sure I remember this time to. And I actually took the tissue box out of the drawer that she had placed the tissue in, and to make sure I put it by my book bag so I would not forget. I'm like, okay, top one priority here at this practicum site is to make sure that I do not leave this Kleenex tissue because they don't need it. So I'm like, okay, that's that. Then another issue that was brought up was the door. So they have this policy where if you're not seeing a client, you're supposed to have the doors to your therapy office open. I'm like, okay. And they explained why. It was like, we want to make sure that, you know, you're here, because if the door is closed, we don't know who's here, right? I'm like, okay, but I know when I first get to work, I make sure I walk around and speak to everybody, so everybody know I'm there, right? And then they have a schedule, but I guess whatever, right? I try not to debate with people and their policies, okay, right? But of course, being that I'm not used to that closed door policy or the open door policy, because of my previous site that I was just telling you guys about that I worked in the Valley, that wasn't nothing nowhere near the top of the list. Oh, you have to have the office door open. He was not thinking about that. It was more other significant issues, like client-centered issues, right? So I'm like, okay, you know, I make sure that I try to do that. And there were a few times where, yes, the door ended up shutting behind me after I came back, let's say I would take a client back, walk a client back out to the lobby after our session. I come back in the office, the door shut behind me, then I do my notes, and I forget all about this whole policy thing. And then in come one of the therapists, busting the door open and, slamming the little door stop down. You need to leave this office door open because we don't know if you're here or not. I'm like, okay. In the middle while I'm writing a note. And that happened a few times. And actually, one of the times that happened when I was in the intern's office. So we have our therapy offices, and then we have the intern's office, right? The intern's office is more like a lounge area. You kind of sit there, decompress, do some meditation, or, work on our homework or something like that. So I'm thinking, okay, that's our little space, right? Come to find out, the same rule applies to the intern office, which the door of the intern office is always closed, right? So I'm thinking, okay, that's fine for us to do it there. This is our space. Apparently not. That's not our space. They want all the doors open unless you are in therapy session with a client, then you can close the door. I'm like, okay, I didn't know, but even still recently, she made a big issue about that. She came in, did the same thing. Opened the door all fast and slammed the door stop down. I'm like, okay. But I can get a sense, like, we all have very good instincts, right? We know when something ain't right, like something. We pick up on those nonverbal cues, right? The metacognition, the meta language. And I'm picking up on this. I'm like, okay, apparently they don't like me. Apparently I'm getting on their nerves, or something that I'm doing they don't like, and it's getting on their nerves, and perhaps I'm becoming this, thorn in the side, and I'm like getting in their way, right? I'm like, okay, that's that. And then there was another issue where they came in and it was like, you left the light on in the intern office, and you need to make sure you turn the light off every time you leave. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure good with turning off the lights. As a matter of fact, I'm usually, when in the therapy offices, given that they have windows, I usually don't even turn on a light, to be honest. It's like I use natural lighting. Even in my place where I live, I'm a natural lighting kind of girl, right? And I open the blinds. But in the intern's office, there's no natural lighting because there's no window. So of course I need to use the light switch. And I turn the light on when I go in there to use the room. And I'm pretty sure I turned the light off, but they're trying to convince me, like, no, you didn't turn the light off. I'm like, y'all are gaslighting me. There's no other explanation for this, but y'all are y'all trying to make me think I'm going crazy, right? Because I'm like, how like you did something, but then somebody come behind you and say, oh, you didn't do this. So I still give them the benefit of the doubt, though. I'm telling, this is my process in my mind. Like, I know I did this, but I'm not, I don't argue. I'm like, okay. I may tell them once, like, I thought I turned it off, but okay. Okay. I always say okay, meaning that I accept what you're saying. Okay. Maybe it's not communicating. I don't know if there's a barrier in language because I'm from the East Coast. And I'm very much direct with the way I speak. And out here in LA, they kind of, more passive. I don't know, right? But I consider myself very direct in my communication. And I usually don't hold back. If I feel a certain way or if I think of something, then I'm going to communicate that. You're going to know that, right? So that's that. And it was a few other issues related to, something that happened in session, which I don't really want to go into detail about, too much, but it's just something that in reaction to what happened in session, it came up in supervision, and it was surrounding child abuse reporting. So me being like the overly conscious person that I am, and trying to be more safe than sorry, I felt inclined to reach out to my supervisor to verify something. Come to find out, maybe I shouldn't have done that because they tried to minimize the situation a little bit, right? Like, it was nothing. I'm like, that's a serious issue to me. That's the reason why I called, just to consult, to make sure. But apparently their reaction gave me the impression that maybe I shouldn't have did that, right? And that was actually early on. And then all of this stuff started happening, like the nitpicking. I'm like, well, I didn't notice a change in the vibes here until that happened. So I'm just like, wait a minute. All of this criticism and all of people coming at me as if, are you doing this, you're doing that, you're doing that. And then even in the role plays and training, it's just like certain things that come up. Like, well, you didn't do this. And I'm like, I know I did that. But like, no, you didn't. I'm like, okay. You know, and then this whole thing about not assigning me a couple or any couples when all the other interns have been assigned couples. And so it's just like, they trying to make it sound like, oh, you're the problem, right? I'm doing all these things wrong. I can't, apparently to them, I'm not doing nothing right because I'm not hearing it come from them. I'm like, what did I do right? I come to work every day. I'm there every single day. I write very detailed notes on the therapy session. I'm very reflective when it comes to my work that I do with my clients. I take it very seriously. I'm not in there just lollygagging and trying to brush it aside like, oh, therapy ain't nothing. No, I take every single client issue seriously. And I don't see how they don't see that. And it's almost as if nothing that I'm doing is good enough, apparently, for them. Now, my process, and it's something I struggle with, but I've said even to myself that, you know what, I can't internalize everything that they say. And I say, these are black women, psychologists and licensed therapists. I can't do it. I cannot internalize. I mean, as much as I want to be able to receive every single feedback they say, right? And when I say I receive it, I listen to it and I say yes. But to really internalize it, I don't know. Because it's not sitting well with me. And I feel like it's coming from a not so good place. Like I said, I can't give you guys the full detail of what happened. Maybe I will later, but as of now, I can't because there's certain factors that I believe factor into this whole interaction on why all of a sudden I've become the scapegoat. Like all of a sudden, I'm the only one there that's doing all these things wrong, you know, and they're noticing me. Like, I'm like, what are they talking about me behind my back? They gotta be, because even the freaking secretary is on board, and she ain't got nothing to do with supervision. But apparently she's on board because I was walking outside my the intern's office, and I went. They have it like where you can have 2 ways in, 2 ways out. So it's like a circle, right? You can go into out the hallway and go to the restroom and just kind of circle around, you know, or you can just go back the same way you came. And I actually did a full circle, and then the secretary was like, "Oh, you know that door is unlocked, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think I know. I've been working here for how many months now? I say maybe 2 months. I started in September, early September, and it's already November." I'm like, I think I know this place. You know, it don't take a person that long to learn like the ropes, right? At least not in terms of the physicality of the building, you know? And so I'm like, yeah, I know that. And she was like, okay, just want to let you know, because I see on the camera you walked all the way around. I'm like, okay, so now you're watching me on the camera? I'm like, do they do this to other interns? Because from my experience, I'm not getting the same reaction from the other interns that work there. They're not being watched so closely as I am. I'm like, what is it about me that's making them like pick up on certain vibes about me that maybe they don't trust or something? Or something about her? Oh, you better believe it's something about me. You better believe it. I'm an anomaly. Y'all gonna come to realize that. Like, this girl is very special. Y'all gonna see it. And I even made a post on my social media page, on my business page with my organization, to say, because it's a parallel process, to say that oftentimes members within the black community don't acknowledge or recognize your success. I mean, they don't recognize who you are. They don't recognize your greatness until white mainstream media does. And that's pretty sad. You know, and some authors, they kind of had a negative reaction to that. It was like, oh, well, that's the problem. You can't define your success based on white mainstream media. I'm like, that's not the point of this post. I know that. Me of all people. This is a African-centered literary organization, so I think I know that. That's not what it's about. It's the point that this is the reality. That members from within the black community don't give you your props until a white person does. It's like a white person has to say, oh, you're doing good, or oh, you're great, you're a great writer. Then all of a sudden, everybody else is on board. It's like they have to get that approval from the white people first. That is a problem. And it's the same thing happening. Like, maybe they don't recognize my greatness, you know? And so I go mainstream and they be like, oh. And then I'm pretty sure they're going to try to take credit for my success. Of course, everybody want to take credit for your success, right? When you blow up, when you go big, and when you're on TV, they're like, oh, I remember I trained her. I taught her to be that great psychologist. When you go down in the books, as a great researcher, as a very influential researcher, then, oh, I did. Oh, no, you didn't. Well, I know I would tell you who I will give credit to. And it's sad. Because I want to receive support and I want to give credit to black supervisors. I do. I do. And that's one of the reasons why I chose that site, because it's black clients, black supervisors, black neighborhood. I wanted to be in the black neighborhood. But to have this reaction, to have this as a result happen, I'm like, damn, that's fucked up. And in supervision, she has a nerve to say, oh, well, it's my job to pull your coattail because a white supervisor ain't gonna do that. That's my job. That's an interesting perspective. I'm always interested in what people have to say. Like I said, I'm not a reactive person. I like to be interested and curious about what motivates people to say and do what they do. Now, just because I come here and create a video about it, you know, and this is like my reaction to it, don't mean that I haven't slowed down to think and really digest what a person has said. I always do that. I'm like, interesting. So you essentially see that it's your job and duty to just criticize me. It's like showing tough love, I guess, right? In her mind, that's better. And I'm like, not necessarily. Not to say you can't identify areas of improvement, but it's like, it's all in how you say it and do it. Because I realize there's a difference in interaction, because we actually have supervision together and training together with other interns. I see it's a different interaction in how she interacts with me, how she so-called point out my mistakes, versus how she interacts with the white interns there. And she rarely recognizes things that they do wrong in their training, like they do everything right. That ain't the case. This other intern was fucking up during the role plays when we was doing the training for the couples intake. She made plenty of mistakes to the point where she was asking questions. Oh, well, she was second guessing herself. Should I do this, or is this right? You know, she fucked up too. But obviously, her perception is, Danielle, you did, like, for her to know all these minor things that I did wrong. Interesting. And it happened not only in the email that she actually sent to me and my school prac advisor, but it happened in training. All of these things. And I'm like, interesting. That's interesting. So I want to see how this is about to go. Like I said, I can't share with you guys everything, but that's kind of the gist of my experience, which I feel like I own. I own my experience, you know? Whether she sees this or not, I don't know. But that's my experience, that's my take on it. And I do have the right to talk about that. I didn't reveal confidential information about who she is or none of that. You know, nobody knows where I work, but that's my experience, man. Which I feel like I don't have to be quiet about. I'm not going to be quiet about. And I wonder, how this shit going to play out. Because we actually have a meeting between her, myself, and my practicum advisor from my school. They're doing a site visit at my current practicum site. And I'm sure those things are going to come up. And it's interesting, though. It's just how all of this stuff is playing out. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on, man? What is really going on? because this is all a complete surprise to me. And like I told my my practicum advisor in my school, I said, I know I'm not perfect. I know there's areas of improvement, and I'm here to learn. I love to learn, man. No, y'all, if y'all don't see that, then that's just y'all. I like to learn in many different formats. I'm open to it. But one thing people gonna have to realize is that there's a certain way that you're gonna talk to me. See, that's the issue. You have supervisors think that just because that they're your superiors, that they can just talk to you any kind of way. No, you cannot. First of all, it's unethical, and I will pull your coattails on it. Damn. If it takes me getting a lawyer or doing whatever I have to take, I will go to the extreme, baby. Because I'm like, I didn't make it this far to have somebody pull my opportunity out from under me and leave me hanging with nothing. No. If y'all don't know this by now, I'm a warrior. Even in my family therapy class, we had did this assessment. I love my my professor. He's so cool, but he's like, I like him because he takes a chance to try to get to know us, as opposed to just assuming like, oh, just because I'm a black person and this is that. Like, no, he takes a chance. He's very curious about who we are, right? And so right now we're studying how you pronounce his name? Jung. Hungian or Wungian, or I forget how you pronounce it. But we're studying that family therapist and theorist, and he developed this thing called archetypes, right? And so I already told you guys I did the archetypal questionnaire to determine what type of goddess I am, and come to find out I identify more closely with Athena and Hera. You know, and that says a lot, right, about who a person is, because essentially he's saying that the archetype is something that drives us. That's just who we are at our core, right? And then most recently on Thursday, we went back and we did another survey, a questionnaire to determine which quadrant we fall in. So there are 4 quadrants, right? It's the queen, it's the warrior, it's the magus, and the lover. Queen, warrior, magus, and lover, right? And do you not know I scored very high on queen and warrior? Now, I don't think that was a surprise to me, but I was just like, that makes a lot of sense. It confirms a lot, you know, because that I do have a warrior personality. I've always been that way, you know, and I do think, of course, my life experiences have shaped that too, but inherently, that's just who I am. And I'm a leader. I'm a born leader, man. Not to say I cannot take instruction, but you have to know how to interact with leaders. Just because you're a supervisor, you don't just be like, oh, I'm a supervisor, so I'm going to treat you like the bottom of my shoe. No, you're not. I'm very open to feedback. Even asked my former supervisor. He gave me a lot of feedback throughout the year that I worked for him. He was not a passive guy. Both of my former supervisors are from New York City, okay? They grew up there, they moved out here later on. And very direct, kind of he don't bite his tongue, don't hold back, you know. It's sometimes where we even kind of had our little ruffles, you know. But he ain't the kind of person that try to be passive and try to appease the next person. He keep it real. You can't say it was that. It's just that when you work in interpersonal relationships, you just have to be flexible, especially if you want it to be conducive, man. If you want to make progress, you know. And of course, I had to be flexible. And I was sharing this with my prac advisor at my school. I was like, not my prac advisor. I was sharing this with my dissertation chair, actually, in our meeting on Tuesday, and I was saying, yeah, it's a challenge for me because I'm the kind of person, like, y'all know this. I've been in charge for a mighty long time, you know. It's been a while since I had a job. I've been a CEO for a mighty long time, but it's not to say that I'm CEO, like I can't listen. I feel like I'm a very great listener, too. But it's just a certain way you have to interact with me, man, because I know who I am. You can't talk to me just because, oh, she's a black girl, so I can just talk to her any kind of way. And I feel like that's it. Where I'm at, these black women think that just because, oh, we black, then you can just talk to a person like how black people are treated, right? No, you cannot. Don't talk to me any less than you would talk to the white intern. You talk to her very professionally and with respect. But with me, it's hey you. No, we're not on that page. You know, hey you page. We keep it very professional and very respectful. And I will reciprocate the favor. That's how I've always been, man. And I want to have it where we can recover from this. We can learn where our differences are, learn who we are in our communication styles. I think a lot of it is just miscommunication, just a misinterpretation of communication. And miraculously, y'all, I forgot to give you guys this new update about the new development in my group therapy class. And remember, I kind of told you guys the struggle that we were having and how students and my professor was misinterpreting me. And when they took the time to really listen and really just see me for who I am as opposed to who they wanted me to be, then we were able to get past that hump. And they were just like, oh, okay, you see. That it's not that you're guarded or you trying to be stuck up or you this or you that. It's just that you have a different kind of personality type. You know, you have a different way of interacting with people. Once you can understand that a person and accept that a person has a different personality and you understand it. It's one thing to say, oh, okay, that person has a different personality, but no, you have to understand it. Take some time to understand it and accept it. You can move past that. This is like relationship 101, and this is across the board in many different relationships. You just understand persons have a different style of being. You don't take it as that, because the girl in my class, she's like, oh, well, I tried to reach out to her, but I made every effort to be her friend, and she doesn't seem like that. I'm like, well, you know what? I'm the kind of person that I don't usually have to reach out to other people to make friendships. People usually come to me, and that's the same thing in business. I don't have to advertise my businesses or my organization. I don't do that. I don't have to solicit, oh, I need customers. No, people usually come to me. Honestly, I'm not trying to brag. This is just facts. They do usually come to me, and it's through word of mouth. I don't have to promote. When I host a Bible book convention, I don't have to beg people, oh, sign up, and keep posting on social media begging people to sign up. No, people automatically come. So that's the kind of style I'm used to. Now, of course, there are times where, of course, I can't expect just everybody, in order for interactions to happen, that people always got to come to me. No. I realize that there are times that I'm the one that has to be the initiator, has to initiate, you know, conversation, which is easy. Like, come on, I do that all the time. I would not be in a PhD program if I did not know how to take charge of my life, you know, and initiate situations and be in control and be organized. Like, I know I got this, you know, and I'm like, just look at it like this. Don't look at it, because I think the whole label of, oh, psychological trainee or an intern, this has this label that people, professionals have all kind of negative connotations associated with that, and with those negative perspectives, it's like they treat you accordingly. It's like, nah, motherfucker. No, I've been in this mental health field for a long time, and I'm not a traditional student, meaning that I came from undergrad and went straight to my PhD. So sometimes they tend to forget that, and they treat you like, oh, well, you're just a 21-year-old, you know, you're just starting out. No, I'm not. I'm 35 years old, and just like if you, as an adult, want somebody to treat you with respect, even though you might be in training, you're not going to tolerate that. It don't matter if that person is your superior. You're not going to tolerate disrespect, man. You don't have to talk down to a person to establish the hierarchy. And matter of fact, and talking down and disrespecting is not going to give you the hierarchy that you want, because they're like, oh, well, I need to establish my power over her because I'm the supervisor. You don't have to do that. That's already set. People at my school who are very professional in their roles, and they know their hierarchy, they don't have to go around tooting a horn or trying to put the student down. They automatically get respected. Such as my prac advisor, such as my dissertation chair. These are both white women. They don't have to be like, oh, you know your place, you know, come up with that kind of attitude. They don't have to do it. They don't have to do these little small things to try to make you feel like you're going crazy so they can gain power. So I'm like, I know that's not me. It's something going on in these women's life that they feel like they are losing power of, and so this is their way to regain power by trying to boss us around, like they overdoing it, so to speak. they don't have to do that, because I automatically go in to work from day one with respect, knowing that I'm here to learn, knowing that I don't know everything. I want to learn. I'm very respectful. So maybe they misinterpret, okay, certain mistakes, like me not leaving the door open, like, oh, she's trying to do her own thing, because that's what's been said, like, oh, I see that you kind of person, you like to do your own thing. And I'm like, not quite. It's not that. You know, yes, I have my own mind, as everybody should, right? You should be able to think independently, but it's not to say that I'm just so independent that I can't be influenced by someone, you know, or I'm just so my own mind that I can't follow direction. That's bullshit. If I could not follow direction, I would not be this far in the program where I am. If I could not follow simple directions. Talk to my professors and they will tell you, I can follow direction. They say do this, I know how to do, I do just that. Sometimes I give them more than what they ask for. My professor who has to read my journals, he's like, damn, you write a lot. And I'm like, okay, keep in mind I am a writer. So writing for me is a piece of cake. I can whip out 10 pages in nothing. It's no time, it's nothing, right? Especially when you allow me to kind of do it freely and not just say, oh, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta, like, come on. Let me do that. You know, I got this. You can guide me, and that's what I kind of need. A supervisor who is secure in who they are, because she already mentioned she got OCD. I'm like, for a person who got OCD, okay, it makes perfect sense that you need this extra sense of control over a situation. But for a person who is very secure in who they are, you don't need that, man. I need a supervisor who is secure in who they are, man. And that was my former supervisors. Not to say I necessarily want to go back and do a whole nother year there. I mean, I can, but I want to be able to have a different experience. And given that I already have a caseload, I think she assigned me 2 new clients, so I got 8 clients now. I'm like, I want to be able to finish my practice there, you know. So we just gonna have to compromise. And I feel like they on their end, like, oh, we ain't gotta compromise because we already licensed, we already doctors. So you the one here to learn from us. You the one. And I'm like, okay, if you got that kind of attitude, it's a reason why interns from my program don't go there. Because what I learned, they don't go there. They don't get students from my school. Hardly. Me and the other girl that's there, we like the two that's the first that's been there in a long time, from what I understand. She said that my co-intern, she was like, yeah, you look at the book. Because they have a book at my school that's kept inside my practice advisor's office with a list of all the practicum sites, clinical placements that we can work at. And in those, they have student feedback forms that you can fill out and give feedback to the other students who are looking for sites and where they want to work at, can read like these reviews on these sites and make a decision. And they say they don't have nothing in there from the site I work at. I'm like, interesting. Other sites got plenty. But this one site that's in Inglewood, predominantly black, they don't get students from there. I'm like, interesting. I wonder why. But I can go on and on, but I'm seeing a lot of things. I'm just learning a lot of things. I'm like, okay, people wonder why their careers are stagnated, like they don't really get that far. Because, nah, man. Nah. And like I said in the email, I hope that we can resolve this, you know, because I look at it, it's just a miscommunication, it's a misunderstanding. Once we come to an understanding and an acceptance, and that's the thing, you come in thinking you're going to just change me, it ain't. Why the hell, number one, I'm not in therapy, I'm not your client, so don't be thinking, oh, you're my supervisor, I'm just going to change her, because you don't like something about me, I don't know what it is, but you don't like something about my character or whatever, so I'm just going to change her. No, I doubt it. People, especially in their 30s, are more resistant to change. Yes, there's certain things, like I said, I can learn from. Certain behaviors that I can definitely grow from. But me at my core, it's me at my core, man. No. And so, like I said, I hope it can work out. But if it don't, I mean, shit, there's other sites. And I'm just going to have to go somewhere else. Because I ain't the only student that end up having to go somewhere else in the middle of a practicum. Because they just didn't get along with the supervisor. It's just something that was just a mixed match. And they always say, okay, yeah, you can have this idea for the site you want to work at. But it really boils down to you and that supervisor, man. If the supervisor don't like you for whatever reason, that shit ain't gonna work. And that's sad that it's boiled down to them having to like you. It's like, I feel like I can train someone without having to like them, right? Get to know a person. Why is it, oh, I don't like you? You don't even know the motherfucker first. Get to know them. And then determine whether you like them or not, you know? And even if you don't, keep it professional. It ain't about you liking them. It's about you educating them and training them, because realizing that your ass was in their shoes. And you could have been in a position where no supervisor liked your motherfucking black ass. But they trained you. You get what I'm saying? I hate to be so direct, but this is just what it is, man. This is what it is. And this is my vlog, and I feel like this is a place where I can be that. I can be that. And it ain't really her business to be watching my vlogs anyway. So they ain't supposed to be watching this. They ain't supposed to be watching this. Nobody from my school or my prac site supposed to be. This is my space. It is what it is, man. I'm at that point. I know what I give, and I can say this so confidently because I know that I am committed. Your girl is super focused and super dedicated. And even my destination chair, she was like, I don't have no question about you being able to, you know, complete your dissertation in time and stay on top of your dissertation lit review in terms of what's expected of you. I don't have no question about it. That's the kind of supervisor I need. You motherfucker loud as hell. Have some faith. And it's sad because as black people, it's like you go to these sites thinking, oh, that's a black site, black supervisor, black neighborhood, it's gonna work out. That's sad, man. Okay, he's talking super loud.
A manager who will accept me, which I already did, and find out when I can go for a next show and sign a contract, which I'm already doing with Mike.
Yeah, but I'm about to go ahead and wrap this up. I got some plans for tonight. Special plans. I actually got 2 different things I'm going to do tonight. And check out this movie.
Yeah, because remember
and I think it's a Q&A.
Dude
talking about So yeah, I'm doing that. It's a Q&A, it's a movie screening, and then I'm actually going to a comedy show. Different comedy club. Not out here in Hollywood though, it's somewhere else, but yeah, so I'm gonna have a good day today. You know, I'm gonna have a good evening. I just need people to recognize that, and I want supervisors that it's not gonna be, not to say you can't, you know, tell me what to do, but all that super micromanaging, and you can like take away a person's self-efficacy. Like, you impeding on my self-efficacy. And anytime a person impede on my self-efficacy in terms of my confidence and what I know I can do, that's a problem. You're not about to sit up here and be like trying to make me second guess myself and what I'm capable of doing. I know very well my capacity and what I'm capable of doing. And I know areas I need improvement and areas that I don't know shit about. And that's going to come off, you know? So don't do that. And I feel like that's what's happening, and they're kind of doing that kind of subconsciously where they don't even realize they're doing it. And whatever, it is what it is. We're going to see next week how this shit unfolds. I'm prepared for whatever. I'm prepared for, hey, if it's going to be a termination letter and say, well, I can't train her no more,